I don't get a choice in that. That's no fun.
Stop being afraid of life.
Ever! Cops give you a fucking speeding ticket.
The deep state.
The modern economy is more or less entirely fake.
Well, America is turning into a capitalistic totalitarian regime.
Getting a gun, training with it, and keeping it with you at all times, that's the only way to realistically protect yourself from that attack vector.
They need to shut up. I have not paid taxes in 10 years. I will never, ever pay taxes again.
Here's what I have learned. It does not matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. When you get to be the president, you get corrupt. And you think more about the power that you can retain after you leave office than you do about anything else. Well, not me. Then no one's going to make a decision for me. This is my life. Most people think about how not to leave office, like Franklin D. Roosevelt. I don't know how many terms he ran, but he started as a young man, and he was in his early hundreds, I think, when he quit. So, and I think every man in power wants to be a dictator secretly somewhere inside. You get power, something happens to your mind. You think because you have power that you have the intelligence and the wisdom to make decisions for people. We've already abdicated everything else to the government. After 9/11, the Homeland Security is created and say, put your trust in us, we will keep you safe. No such thing as safety, not unless you create it yourself. I mean, do you actually believe if a burglar breaks in your house, standing in your bedroom with a gun to your head, that you can push a magic button and the police is going to appear between you and the burglar? No. Security and safety do not exist unless you create them yourself.
Cops don't do fucking anything. Ever! Ever! Cops give you a fucking speeding ticket. Period. Cops exist to fucking generate revenue, protect insurance companies, protect banks, etc. Fucking useless, man. But if you're ever in trouble, thinking that the police are ever going to help you, they are not. They are fucking not.
If someone who is much stronger than you, like this, has malicious intent, they're gonna do whatever they want with you. And if you've got a family that you're supposed to be protecting, they're gonna do whatever they want with them as well, unless you have that great equalizer to stop them.
The holy grail of totalitarianism is absolute knowledge. Every word, action, feeling, and thought of the populace. How close are we to that right now? I think we're very close to that.
A gun is not a problem solver. It's really more of a problem transformer. This transforms an immediate problem into a legal problem down the road.
Congress, Senate, all three branches of government, let's give them a year's vacation. I promise you nothing bad will happen. We'll still have roads, we'll still have everything else, except we'll save a bunch of taxes.
The boomer economy is basically the idea that you can go to school, you can go to college, and then you become an employee at some kind of company. And you work there for 20, 30, 40 years. Maybe you switch companies, but you ultimately are a company man. You're in the system, you're making enough money to have a family, and you go on and do whatever you want in your free time, and that's it, that's life, that's all you need to do. Well, isn't that just how the world is? If you look at the world before boomers, life was totally different, because sometimes they had generational businesses. Maybe you have some kind of skill, you're a carpenter, you're a cobbler, electrician, plumber, something like this. You had family skills, you'd teach your kids your skills, and they would usually follow in your footsteps, do whatever they want.
Most of you watching, you probably have things like encrypted devices as part of your OPSEC, strong passwords that are saved in a password manager with multiple factors of authentication that couldn't even be cracked by a supercomputer. But realistically, if someone was going to hack, somebody like this, they're probably going to go for the wrench method. And getting a gun, training with it, and keeping it with you at all times, that's the only way to realistically protect yourself from that attack vector.
Get physically dangerous. A tall bodybuilder or whoever it is that you could imagine, if you imagine someone's intimidating you, whoever it is probably doesn't know how to fight. So why don't you learn how to fight? Do that. 5'6", like pro boxer is a world away from whoever in terms of like physical prowess. Get good at that. Get good at jiu-jitsu, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like corruption. I do not like people telling me as an adult what to do when I'm simply minding my own business. And anybody with that attitude is going to be a fugitive from something.
It's just living a normal life. Living a life that is not designed for you and planned for you in a city where you have to rely on this government that is like locking you down and doesn't let you do anything.
Laws are being created at an alarming rate. There used to be 10 laws, right? But now, hundreds of thousands of expanding laws upon laws upon laws. If I cannot read every law, I cannot possibly adhere to every law. There's no way you can read all of these laws.
Let me go back to Henry David Thoreau. He was in jail for civil disobedience, and a friend came and said, "What are you doing in there?" And he said, "Well, what are you doing out there? Because if you are living according to your heart fully, well, then you're living life as it's meant to be lived. Whether you have to run or hide doesn't make any difference. Those who are obeying mindless laws and regulations and being told to stay in your homes and lock the doors, you're on the outside, people."
We're actually told nowadays that that's something we should be afraid. Oh, I don't get a choice in that. That's no fun. But the reality is the boomer economy is infinitely worse for your freedom. The boomer economy is this idea that a fulfilled life is to be an employee. Most people, in most times, have never been employees. They've never been wage cucks. They've never been salary cucks. They have been effectively self-employed.
Drop your fear. Because if you think about it, most people live in fear. Certainly most college students do. You have a fear of failure, a fear of not belonging. You have a fear of the future, what will happen. Even with your hopes, there is the fear of not achieving those hopes and dreams. So you have to not be afraid of life. And that's the most difficult thing to do. Being afraid does not help you.
Well, what if I move to a place where there are no good companies, dude? Oh no, how am I going to get a job? And that is like the exact opposite mindset you need to have, because when you move out into a place where there, some kind of company is not providing some service, well, that is more entrepreneurship opportunity. Well, like, why would you want to move to a place where there are massive multinational corporations that you have to compete against? You either get some wage cut job with them, or, you just, well, that's really your only choice.
When you do get out into life and you get a job and you commute to work every fucking day, you get to work at 9, you spend 8 hours in a windowless, airless office and commute back home, and you do this every fucking day for 40 years and you don't love it. Why do you do it? Because you're afraid of what might happen if you quit.
When I was in the military and I was working alongside military and government employees and other contractors and whatnot, and so many government employees hate their fucking job. They hate it. They became a government employee because the money was good and the benefits were good, and they just are counting down until retirement. They hate their job. It's soul crushing. It's just sucking the life out of their eyes. They're just sitting there pretending to work. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. You couldn't pay me enough to sit in a fucking cubicle for 30, 40 years just waiting for retirement. It's not worth it.
So here's a simple formula, since you have not been told properly, perhaps, by the society around you how to live. First and foremost, do only what you love, not what your head tells you to do. If your mind says you want to get a physics degree because you want to be a physicist, or you want to get a finance degree because you want to be an accountant with a large firm, or whatever, that's your mind talking to you. Ask your heart what your heart wants. And it does not matter if your heart goes, I just want to wander and see the world. Your fear goes, well, how will I live? Trust me. You have half a brain and 2 hands. You'll figure it out.
People just don't have that mindset anymore. They're like, oh no, I don't need to make it in the world. I need this company to help me make it in the world. I need them to pay me. I need them to tell me what to do. Otherwise, I'm just not going to figure things out. It's just like a really immature way of looking at things.
The mind anticipates consequences. The heart doesn't. When you fall in love, if you've ever done that, did you think of consequences at the moment that you felt that surge of beauty and awe inside you? Fuck no. You just followed it. It's the mind that looks at consequences. You don't have a crystal ball inside your head. You may think you do, but you don't. And the best laid plans, as Shakespeare said, of mice and men oft go astray. Not just oft, all the time. You cannot predict your future. And you will learn that very quickly by predicting it and going, God damn, I never thought that would happen.
You gotta, I don't know, you gotta live your own life. You cannot ask me to tell you, or anyone else, or any kind of company to tell you how to make money. If you're in that mindset, you're doing it the wrong way.
The people that you elect are elected officials, presidents, Congress, whatever. The true power in the government is not those people. It's the people who are career people. Do you know what the CIA calls presidents? Transients, because that's what they are. They're there for 4 or 8 years. They're gone. They are insignificant and know nothing, and they have no power. If you think they do, how much of the wall did Donald Trump build? And even if a president does get to do something like Obama and got Obamacare, we all knew, why are you bothering? Because it was destroyed by the next administration. If any of you are old enough to have seen at least 2 or 3 elections, you will know one thing. Not a single hair on your head was wafted by that change in power. Why do you care who the president is? Neither does Congress. The deep state, which is the career 99% of our government, rules everything.
なんとなく生きてんじゃないですか。迷ってんじゃないですか。生き生きさい。簡単ですよ。過去のことを思っちゃダメだよ。なんであんなことしたんだろうって怒りに変わってくるから。未来のことも思っちゃダメ。大丈夫かな。ああ、不安になってくるでしょ。ならば一生懸命一つのところに命をかける。そうだ。今ここを生きていけばみんな生き生きするぞ。
I think happiness comes from accepting what you got. Good God, be happy with whatever you have, wherever you are. Just follow your heart. Now, if your heart leads you into jail, be happy there because things will work out. I promise you.